Hello, fellow learning designers, and welcome to my survey analysis of student perceptions of online learning. I hope this provides you with a quick snapshot of student perceptions of e-learning dynamics that you'll find useful. Online learners know what they want. Today's online learning environment is just exponentially expanding. We've gone from blended courses to completely online distance learning, and now we're seeing the rise of massive open online courses. As learning designers, it is our responsibility to create the most accessible, interactive courses that we can. And we've talked about this a lot in my place of work about how we appeal to students for retention, for recruitment. And we always talk about exit surveys and getting feedback that way. But I wanted a more varied snapshot of just a student's perception of online learning overall, whether it be from my place of work or school they've gone to. I just wanted to see what students feel, generally speaking, about online learning. Methodology was simple. I created a Google Sheets survey, some Likert scale questions, demographics, that sort of thing. It was distributed to friends, family, and colleagues with experience in online learning. The data collection took place over 1 week, and I received 11 total respondents, which we'll note is too low to draw scientific conclusions, but it did promote several interesting points that I'd like to share with you here. Why online learning? Of course, everyone will say convenience. One thing I did want to point out was that someone responded it was a degree tailored closely to their preferences, which is important in rural areas where they may not always have a physical campus to go to for certain degrees. Level of education in my survey was widespread. 54.5% of my respondents were bachelor's prepared. The only thing I did not receive was a master's degree prepared individual, which was odd to me. Frequency in choosing online courses. This surprised me. Until I had entered my master's program, I'd only taken about 2 or 3 online courses in my undergraduate work. As you can see here in the graph, 63.6% of my respondents had taken 5 or more courses. I asked about their perception of the usefulness of online tools. Of course, everyone will say learning management system is awesome. I highlighted discussion boards and collaborative tools because they seem to be more on the negative end. Of course, discussion boards are always up for debate. Collaborative tools, I think most of the ill will here towards those usually stems from something not working or not being user friendly. So that's something to consider as we design our courses. This also shocked me. How much time do our e-learners spend online? The largest portion here said they spent 5 to 6 hours, which I thought was insane until I took the time to log how much time I spend on the computer when I'm doing my e-learning. Which tools do our users use most frequently? Of course, learning management systems and email are huge ones. I was surprised by the amount of times people use online libraries, and I'd like to look at that in conjunction with degrees to see if maybe that is because of the conjunction with research-focused programs versus something more practical. It's just an interesting point to me. Students had surprisingly positive responses about the community and their quality of interaction with classmates and instructors, which I found really, really satisfying because we often hear that e-learning is impersonal, and I don't think it's that way at all. And according to this snapshot, neither did my respondents. I'll let you pause this if you'd like to and look more deeply into the free response. Of course, there was lots of discussion about discussion boards, which I found ironic, to say the least. Just some little things I'd like to highlight here. People wanted more opportunities for synchronous discussion instead of discussion boards. They mentioned checking through broken links and things like that fall through class that, really could be caught in a feedback loop, but we know that some things just slip through our fingers. So it was interesting to see what students pick up about building the course in a literal sense. What can we learn from this data? Online learners are spending a massive amount of time with us, more than I ever realized even. As designers, I think we owe them dynamic courses that we can be flexible with to fit their needs as we go along. Discussion boards are, of course, one of the most highly contested topics here in my survey. Many respondents express enthusiasm for different collaborative tools. I think that will come with ease of use and how well we can integrate these, as far as them being maybe a future replacement for a discussion board. Limitations of the study, as I said, we were limited to 11 individuals. I lacked master's prepared respondents, and in future studies I'd love thousands of people theoretically to take this, and I'd really like to compare it via educational background or number of courses completed. If you'd like to do any further reading on this subject, I've pasted the link to my Google Doc down there where you can see the survey itself. I'm no longer accepting responses, and then you can also take a look at some of the graphs and data that I pulled from that. Thank you so much for watching.